1 second, it's a lot now, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty wild, huh?
Barrack and Branch now separated by just 1 second. Loeb takes a big chunk out of Sainz's lead. Yeah, it's a good day, but still one in front. No more Gauchal. Guthrie takes command in the challenges.
Gotten the lead of the T3s and then kind of just stayed there. It was nice to have clean air in front of us.
Welcome to Dakar 2024. The story of the day is the Dakar Classic. Several chapters. Chapter 1, how not to negotiate a monster dune.
We try to go on this dune, but I didn't expect this is so cut just after the edge. So we went down through the edge and we stopped on the front of the car and flip over. Speed was not very good, but it was enough to roll over. But we are okay. Maybe not mentally, but physically it's okay.
What you call a collapsed dune, and it catches you out.
We will try to come this way with the truck. And we can connect it.
Minimal force.
What is the plan now?
Now we'll be towed to the service area. This truck will help us. This Dakar, we helped people on the first day. They rolled over, we helped them. Now this karma came back to us. We are happy. We can go!
Another very early start for the bikers this morning as they reach the start line before 7 a.m. But on paper, this would be an easier day in the saddle. Top of the paper is it's highly flammable.
Hopefully today there's less dust and we can push a little bit faster. Some new sand today, so a little bit of moisture underneath, so it'll be interesting to see how wet it even is out there, but I'm happy to be at the start for stage A.
So far, world champion Luciano Benavides is enjoying week 2 much more than he enjoyed week 1. Well, we're starting second today, so we'll be careful with the navigation, and then we try and push as hard as possible to enjoy a good stage. Nacho Cornejo preparing to open the piste for the 3rd time on this Dakar after picking up another stage win yesterday. But it's never easy to open. We'll try to do a good job and not lose too much time. We're 3rd, and there's a big battle up front, but we'll keep fighting every day, he says, until the very end. This stage of 2 halves, sand and dunes for 165 kilometers before a long transfer to the second part, which will be in more rocky and mountainous terrain. If you subtract the transfer from the special, it's a total of 279 kilometers against the clock. So even with a tricky set of notes, there shouldn't be a huge gap at the line. We start with some onboard shots of Oran O'Kelly, the first Irishman to do the Dakar in over a decade. He's competing in the Vendetta Racing UAE team. Having sold a business back home to pursue his Dakar dream, O'Kelly is currently running 58th overall, just behind Jane Daniels, who's 52nd, and Dave McBride is running 51st. A bit further up the Rally 2 ladder, we find Diego Llanos. The Argentine came 26th in his debut 2 years ago, a friend of Benavides' brothers. Diego is riding for X-Raid's Experience and targeting a top 10 on Rally 2. And what do you know? He currently sits 10th in class. Top of the class, in a certain way. Mathieu Douza, he's the doozy. Was the quickest on Rally 2 yesterday, coming in a minute and a half. And the class leader, Romain Demontier, the Frenchman, had another solid outing today, placing 17th on 2 wheels. In a bit of a pickle here, but Douza, yeah, currently enjoying a nice battle with the BAS World KTM teammates, Tony Mulech and Bradley Cox, son of Alfie. Great man he was. Still is. They're just ahead of him in the overall standings. Jakob Albrecht. There he is, Albright. Yeah, impressed on his debut last year, finishing 22nd, but unfortunately he tumbled down the standings after breaking his chain guide on stage 3. He's still plugging away in the dust on the Doist team, I should say. One of America's most talented bikers, and still getting his head around Rally Raid. But remember that name. Well, the fastest Rally 2 rider, Harith Noah, who finished over a minute clear of Jean-Luc Lepin.
I know I won the Rally 2, I get that. But yeah, it's a good feeling for sure. I definitely feel much confident, a lot more confident on the bike, confident with myself, and yeah, just doing what I do.
Big smile. Depends a lot on toothpaste, I think. Bad news through, I must say, for Nils Teddick. After running into mechanical trouble yesterday, the Frenchman set off today in the Dakar Experience class, and allows amateurs to keep enjoying the adventure in Saudi without being part of the official standings. But the same problem struck again, and it's not easy fixing an engine in the desert. Teddick is now out for good. Don't worry. They're just after sandwiches. But this pair will be fighting both tooth and nail all the way to Yanbu, Ricky Brabeck and Ross Branch. Our top 2 overall, separated by the narrowest of margins this morning by just 1 second, as you've heard. Branch says it's all about just finishing one day at a time. Well, Ricky wasn't too impressed by some of the tactical games being played out to improve the starting positions for tomorrow. Brabeck was 7th today, Branch 8th. The American now leads by 42 seconds. Rui Gonçalves is no longer part of the overall conversation after running into major technical problems during the 48-hour chrono stage. But the Sherco factory rider has made a positive start to the second week. The Portuguese rider was 6th fastest today. He did make a few mistakes while trying to combine speed and navigation, but he's happy with the bike and hopes to maintain a good pace for the rest of the rally. Well, it's a measure of Nacho Cornejo's talent as a navigator that he only lost 1 minute and 42 seconds today, despite setting off first. Yes, it was a shorter stage, and yes, he took over 3 minutes in bonus times, but the Chilean explained that when he's opening, he's capable of intense concentration, and he focuses on himself, the bike, and the roadbook, and so far it's paying off. He's up to 3rd overall. That's it, you see. Set out what you want to do, and then do it. Simple. Life lesson. Adrian van Beveren definitely cut the most frustrated figure at the finish line. Frenchman made a tactical gamble today, and it backfired. He saw he had one of the best times at refueling, so decided to deliberately stop for a few minutes. The theory being that he would lose enough time to set off after his main rivals tomorrow on a day of tough navigation. But no such luck. AVB came 3rd and will no doubt have his work cut out for him on stage 9. Adrian van Beveren. Basically, he said, I wanted to finish 5th or 6th. I thought I'd be around there, but I came 3rd and threw away stage win. I don't like that aspect of the sport, and I'm really unhappy about how the day went.
Et c'est pas ce que j'aime de ce sport, et je le vis pas bien, et voilà.
Luciano Benavides did a fine job battling through the early dunes and camel grass to catch up with Nacho at the front. The world champion had one small crash towards the finish, but generally he was satisfied with his performance and how the second week has started on his new bike setup. Second place today, although he's nearly 40 minutes back overall. And it turned out to be a Benavides 1-2 for the first time on the Dakar, as Luciano's brother Kevin took the honours. The Argentine said it was an interesting day out with lots of varied terrain, and despite his injury woes in the build-up to the rally, he can count on defending champion. Can't count him out. He's now 20 minutes back. Well, I'm happy with the stage victory, and getting a 1-2 with my brother Luciano was really nice. Tomorrow I'll have to open, but there are 4 days left and we have to try and improve every single day. Everything is possible until the last metre. 31 seconds separating the Benavides brothers on the day. Toby Price came 5th, with Danny Sanders and Stefan Zvitko also inside the top 10. Brabeck and Branch are still separated by under a minute, followed by Cornejo and Van Beveren. And keep an eye on Benavides, who's lurking just over 20 minutes back in 5th. Well, with 3 of their riders in the top 4, Monster Energy Honda team mechanics are being kept very busy on this Dakar. Let's find out a little bit more about just what their job involves, shall we?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Roberto
Hello,
Condé.
my name is Roberto Condé. I work with the Monster Energy Honda team, and I'm going to show you exactly what we do on the Dakar. Every mechanic is assigned to one rider. They're responsible for the bike from A to Z. First, we get the information from the rider about what's happened on the day stage, and then we carry out standard day-to-day maintenance, changing the oil, filters, wheels, brake pads. We do a general check of the entire bike.
Et en fait, ils nous font remonter des infos sur les maintenances et les choses à changer selon les spéciales qu'il va y avoir. Donc, c'est eux qui vont...
Well, the sheet and the engineers with information about the maintenance, which parts to change depending on the stage. And they're the ones who let us know which parts are likely to work best. Well, it depends a bit on the stage profile, but we usually prepare a few different setups in advance with different kinds of suspension and forks, and it depends on what we're facing. For example, we also change the caster angle a couple of degrees for faster special, and more likely we open up the wheels and increase the angle of the fork and shift the rear wheel backwards on the winding terrain. We want a more agile, compact bike. It's as simple as that. We don't even need to speak. Just by looking at the rider's face, I can tell if he's had a good day or not. If the bike's had problems, one thing's for sure, the smallest error can have terrible consequences. So a rider has to trust their mechanic 100%, or it's just not worth it. We spend a huge amount of time setting up and preparing the bike, so when things are going well, the times are good. It's fantastic. They came, they saw, and they abandoned. Franco Moreno returned to Saudi Arabia determined to turn 2 Dakar silvers into gold. A perfect start as he won the short prologue, but then disaster struck, his quad breaking down on stage 2. Well, after Marcelo Medeiros racked up an 11th career special, the Brazilian crashed out yesterday. No more wins in the W2 RC medals. Ouch. Well, therefore, circling the Tuareg trophy are the 2 quad birds of prey. This is they. Alexander Giraud upgraded to stage 7 victory after navigation let Manuel Adojar down. Costly waypoint missed. Today, the Argentine was intent on not allowing that to happen again. And just 6 minutes 20 between the two, The only time they have two quads have been so close by the end. Just 5 minutes and 23 seconds separated the Petronelli brothers back in 2016. Adoha bided his time, but in the second part of the special, the 2021 champion passed Giraud with just 50 kilometers to go. Well, the Silvius Canisius just hasn't had the same pace. Didn't have it to pass Jure Varga. Only on the prologue, on stage 4, did the W2 RC champion outgun the Slovak. Giraud maintained that he'd been under incessant pressure and finally cracked. A struggle to locate the fifth waypoint proved to be his undoing. Wasn't a good stage for me. Poor navigation cost me a lot of time today. Not a good day. It was a short interview. That left Adoha to make up for yesterday's 15-minute penalty to re-establish his authority. I only focus on myself, he says. The navigation was pretty good, since I'm happy with that. The stage was very long, neutralization in the middle. Both parts were tough, so I'm happy to have made it here safely. 2021 champion putting 5 minutes into the defending champion from France. A fifth podium finish for Varga, with Canisius 10 minutes further back. Well, Giraud needed to continue to eat into the gap, but instead, Adoha's 11-minute advantage could be decisive. Yet there's still 4 stages to decide it. You know the way it goes.
At confused.com.
Yesterday, the second-place driver in the Dakar was out of contention. Mathis Ekstrom returned at 9:40 p.m. last night, having broken down just 47 kilometers into the stage. The Audi crew got to work fixing the car, but the Swede was out of the running. On to stage 8 of 12, a rocky road from Al Douadimi to Ha'il. And Sebastian Loeb had 19 minutes to close on Carlos Sainz. The plan? Well, we'll try and do our job as well as possible without getting overexcited, because there's still a lot of big stages to come, and you can easily lose time on little mistakes and problems attacking too much. The goal is to manage a nice, clean special, and we will see. Sounds like a philosopher, doesn't he? Well, in the stock class, the production vehicles, rather than the prototypes, seen the ultimates, being dominated by the team Land Cruiser Toyota Auto Body Squad. Akira Miura, I beg your pardon, has won the class twice before in 21 and 22. Although he finished second last year, the 24 edition seems to be under his control. Well, his teammate, Ronaldo Basso, is running second. Having won last year, and the 5-time French touring car champion is a way off his teammate, but the Land Cruisers are continuing to dominate with just 4 stages to go. It's a Toyota game, and they're playing it very well indeed. Nasser Al-Attiyah may be out of the fight for the overall win, but at the start of the stage, he reckoned he could finish the Dakar in the top 5. 62 kilometers in, chances of that seeming rather slim.
The problem? When we start the first stage, always have a problem, you know. I think engine. Yes. Engine problem. I don't know why. I feel really sorry and disappointed. Yes, and it's not this way, you know, to start with the team.
Al-Attiyah never got going again and retired from the stage. Danny Roma broke down yesterday, but the M Sport team managed to repair the Ford overnight, and he's back on the road today. Another M Sport Ford of Gareth Woolridge is being worked on today in Ha'il, with the hope to set the South African competing again tomorrow. Sun Zhangyan is entering her first Dakar this year, the Chinese driver, entering with the Hanwei Motorsport team. Was running 51st overall after 7 stages. Hanwei, who finished 8th last year, best results for a Chinese driver in Dakar history, is giving Sun Xiaoyan the benefit of his experience as her mentor. Martin Prokop dropped a spot in the overall standings today, down to 7th in the Orlen Jaipur Ford. He and co-driver Victor Chishka, well, they finished 6th last year. Their best result on the Dakar, but disappointing 14th today, sees them slip a little further away from a top 5. 3rd place overall is inhabited by Gilles de Villiers. In his 20 Dakars, he's never failed to finish. And 15 of those 20 times, he's been in the top 5 at the end of 2 weeks. And despite only having 1 win in 2009, he's always a consistent performer. And the same is true this year. 9th on today's stage, leaves him 45 minutes off the podium positions. Amazing. Sebastian Loeb was first on the road and on a charge to close his 19-minute deficit to Carlos Sainz. Heading into the final 100 kilometers of today's stage, Loeb had a 1-minute lead at the head of the field, but a rare mistake from co-driver Fabien Lerquin cost him 11 minutes, finishing the stage in 10th place and losing 6 minutes to Sainz. Well, we lost big time on a hidden waypoint. We were following a heading and then never found it, and we had to go back 5 kilometers and start from scratch. Loeb's troubles were excellent news for Carlos Sainz, and by his own admission, he had a bad day today. He lost time to Loeb. At the point the Frenchman made his error, Sainz was 5 minutes behind Loeb. The gap at the front was set to come down to less than 15 minutes. As it is, 3-time winner extended his advantage. Well, continuing his impressive climb up the order is Gerland Schischerit. Today he was 3rd, just 25 seconds back from Sainz over the 458 kilometers. And that moves the man from 10 up to 6 overall, having been 19th in the standings after stage 5. Still no stage win this year after collecting 2 in 2023. But the pace is undeniable at the top 5, very much within reach. Well, the top 2 places went to Audi's 2 nearly men. Stefan Penner-Hansel was out of contention on stage 6, but still showing his pace as a wingman / roadside recovery for Carlos Sainz. The record-breaking 51st stage win eluded him today, but don't discount the possibility in the last 4 days. Did Matthias Ekström have something to prove today? Well, the Swede knocked out of the running yesterday while running 2nd, just 20 minutes behind his teammate Sainz. He said it was embarrassing that the team couldn't prepare the car properly after the rest day, and that losing out on a Dakar podium will hurt him for a long time. But today he was flying and took victory on stage 8. Good lad.
We had a good stage. I enjoyed from the beginning to the end. We had no big hiccups, so it was a good day.
So Matthias Ekström takes his first win of the Dakar since the prologue. Romain Dumas had a good run to 8th, and he and de Villiers and Sebastian Loeb. This means that Loeb drops further back from Carlos Sainz in the overall standings after looking like he was going to close the gap. 25 minutes between them with just 4 stages to go. Well, one of the most remarkable stories of the Dakar is that of Juan Pierre Strugo. The Frenchman is competing in the MD Optimus prepared MD Rally, and certainly embodies part of the spirit of the Dakar. JP Strugo. Passion for sharing, going beyond oneself. When we start, it's to get to the finish. Back then, the Dakar started from a Place de la Concorde in Paris, and that's where I had my offices, so they would come to tease me. 2 or 3 years later, it happened. The first experience in 1985 for the veteran of the Dakar, Jean-Pierre Strugo, the first of a very long series of participations. It was the unknown, it was an adventure, the fulfillment of 1 or 2 years of preparation, and thankfully, I still have strong memories. It was a total nonsense. Everything was completely improvised, and that was the strength of the founder, Thierry Sabine, who would take a bunch of adventurers, of friends, and we just didn't know what to expect. Whatever thought for those who came for the first time. There's so much to see. Even the 18th time, it's still beautiful. Well, for some, they're cured at their first attempt. It wasn't the case for me. I didn't finish the first, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. I needed a dose of perseverance. Well, he'd seen it all in Africa, South America, Saudi Arabia, and the Dakar. It all evolved. What happens here is amazing, he says. It's a competition at 100%. It's the only competition. And the opportunity to compete with the likes of Lowe, Ben Ansel, Nasser. It's like if today an amateur could compete in Formula One. It's crazy. Well, 33 years after, Strugo is still here. Being 77 doesn't seem to be an issue. Well, it's easier, if anything, he says, because I have experience in my driving, and therefore, based on the car and my physical condition and the terrain, it also forces me during the whole of the year to stay in shape. Sometimes he tells himself, I don't focus on the standings, just to do it for the pleasure. Drive as well as you can, but at the finish every single day, I look at the standings and I see my performance. Well, this will be my last. It's my last. 2 years ago was my last. I'll carry on until I find an antidote. Just as long as I have the passion and physically I can, there's no reason to stop. So it's not his last. It was all looking so promising for Austin Jones during stage 7, leading for 200 kilometers. An uncontrollable mechanical wiped his chances of stage victory, though.
We thought we were home free, you know, with 65 kilometers or something like that to go. And there's so many rocks out there. What happens is a rock jumps up and it hits the brake caliper, it breaks it off, and then this one blew through the wheel. So it was a proper explosion. Nothing I did, nothing the mechanics did, you know, these things just happen. So, man, it hurts. It doesn't feel good.
Double heartbreak happens. Well, time to stay alert over rugged terrain to Hail. Punctures are high risk. 19 Dakars combined inside 324. Pedro Munoz and Rosa Romero fighting for greater causes. A project in collaboration with the University of Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. A fight for climate change, planting trees in all 21 municipalities for kilometers traveled in Saudi for Pedro. Rosa advocating inclusion. This was an ouch. Misjudged crest for the Spaniard Oscar Ral Verdu. Important time in the special. Staying alert was a prerequisite. The Buggy Master team got themselves back up and running, but at a price. Disappointment, frustration etched across the Spanish duo's demeanor. Well, starting week 2 with consistency, Marcello Tiglia Gastaldi and Carlos Sash recovering well after the fatigue of the 48-hour chrono and showing the pace across the early dunes. The Brazilian driver took precaution on the rocks, 7th on the special for Team BBR. Sign of good things. An empty amphitheatre in the foothills to hunt. Gutierrez quest without hurdles. First part, dangerous dunes, very short, couldn't really make any mistakes, setting a calm rhythm. Then the second part was very fast, lots of navigation. And like yesterday, Gutierrez had no time to waste with rival doing a duel here. Two-time world champion in the SSVs, Rokas Bikuska, was assigned the task. Clawback time, stage win, could be a reward. Deep carved tracks, assisted navigator Oriel Vidal, 6th place for the number 300. Well, as Aesop wrote in the Tortoise and the Hare, slow and steady wins the race, but, well, change slow for fast with Guthrie's case. Now leading overall. The big goal for Mitch is clean stages without problems. Today, they pushed themselves to the absolute limit with 0 problems. Well, in command from kilometre 165, Salah Al Saif has been showing promise of late, and with just a matter of the stars aligning. Stage 7 could have been a possibility, but a puncture saw him drop out of contention. It was more sweeter finale to Hail, the home of the Saudi. Well, we struggled at the beginning of the rally, but now we're trying to close the gap, and today we came back strong. We have a good position in the overall standings, and perhaps we're the winners of today's stage. Let's see. And confirmation that Captain Salah did indeed take the win on his home stomping ground. Local knowledge paying a dividend. The 5th victory of his career. Guthrie still in control of the overall standings, leading Gutierrez, Chaleco Lopez in 3rd. Bikuska makes a move to climb the standings. He's now in 4th place. Al Saif 7th. A day of stark contrast across this 2-part special. The bivouac having headed north to Hail. Initial sandy trek and the side-by-side vehicles, as ever, the last to tackle it. Well, enjoying the sands, but knowing the terrain was to change drastically later on. South Racing Can-Am of Gerard Ferres on a roving path with Jerome Sadalier for company. Ferres nearly 5 hours out of contention, so fighting for a stage recognition. And the Chilean would leave the Swiss driver behind as desperate and arguably easier stage than those that have come before. It would have felt like that to Sadalier. Fabulous pictures, these. As if I need to tell you, just look at it. Well, like a turtle needing a helping hand to flip things back over, Jerome de Sadalier and Michael Metch trying to flag down roadside assistance. If at first you don't succeed, just try again. And remember, 3rd time, lucky. Finally a break, and the one that's made the most of it, the MMP team duo with time on their side. They used to that, finishing 6th, and now 29 minutes off the T4 summit. Thanks for the help. Well, the Dakar is a big deal in Lithuania, and no difference for married couple in their Can-Am. Emilia driving in her first Dakar, and husband Anunas Galzanikias, a 2-time original by Motul winner. He's navigating 16th place, a 3rd straight top 20 finish. Well, a drop in the intensity. That didn't mean stage 8 was much easier, even for the Dakar legend like Michel Hinotto. Well, we broke the engine belt at the beginning, so that's likely to be the problem, as the temperature was just too high. We tried to preserve it, but couldn't, and it broke. Alberto is very fast in changing it, and we hope to recover later. Well, after too many did DNFs, the Italian duo not giving up lightly at this Dakar 46. Well, after struggles saw a podium finish, Vanish, Cristiano Battista, is focused on as high a position as possible. The main goal is to reach Yanbu. Sarah Price missing the top 3 by a minute, but the American is focused on overall success. Yet the rookie might need to start taking some more risks. Still on the podium as Yasser Saidan slipped to 4th, but now it's looking like 2 drivers going head-to-head. David de Soultre took the lead of the SSV on Sunday, but said he and Martin Bonnet were washed out. Clearly got a good rest as the French pair led over the opening section. The Polaris managing to keep intact, but de Soultre passed in the 2nd section, unable to catch their flying rival.
Ouais, je sais, mais je veux le recoller.
Well, we couldn't quite kick on. We were very careful. Overall, we're going very well. The car is great, and it's all quite good. Well, the day's honours belong to the battling Portuguese duo from South Racing. In one stage, an hour behind after plenty of bumps and bruises, yet back-to-back stage wins means that João Ferreira is right back in the mix. 25 seconds yesterday. This time, João winning over Xavier by 3 minutes for the third special success of the Dakar. De Sultre maintains his 7-minute lead, but this time it's in front of the main rival, João Ferreira. Dakar isn't the only time Saudis can enjoy the thrill of motorsports. Drag racing through the pits, drivers against each other, of course, in a race to the line. I'm Sulaiman Al-Onazeni. I compete in the Saudi Tourism Drag Race Championship. The event today in Dira, in the Riyadh region. Drag race guarantees immense suspense, an atmosphere surrounded by the sound of engines. It's pure excitement. Well, the burnout and all that, it's a real part of the motor world and competition. More generally, spikes the adrenaline. We absolutely love it. Well, the goal of drag racing is to go as fast as possible. There's a 400-metre standing start. Some categories, 200 metres for others, such as the 4.5s. Competition is based on engine power, speed and lap times, but also on the driver's ability to control the steering and stay on course. Well, the car categories, there's the V8, the 4.5, which the Saudi drivers are very hard to beat, whether over 400 or 200 metres. Speeds can reach 230, 240 kilometres per hour in the 400-metre standing start. And then it comes to the engines and the power. There's something for everyone. There's turbos, superchargers, prochargers. Some engines reach 1,000 horsepower. We'll have a good season in the Gulf States competition, the championship. I'm top of the rankings in Bahrain and the Dubai Championship, so that only motivates me to go even higher, to compete internationally. As soon as you start riding, you immediately feel the G's. They stick you in the seat and make you bounce after the starting. It's a crazy feeling, undescribable, total bliss. This has been a brutal edition of the Dakar for the trucks, and even if there are no longer in the empty quarter, the dunes can always catch you out. Albert Lovera discovered that today. Elsewhere, Vic Verstappen was being bullied by buggies, but made it home in 5th place. Struggling with power issues, Jonas van Kesteren at the end of the first week, notably due to a wastegate issue in the turbo engine, but the Dutchman had a better showing today, around 15 minutes down in 4th. Well, here's one of the 3 members of the Walter family taking part in this Dakar. Mikhail is making his debut for the family, rather than Yaroslav, his dad, driving a Tatra truck, and brother Yaroslav Jr. navigating for Alice Laprace. It's a steep learning curve. He's 61 hours back overall. That is steep. Terahita Sugawara is faring much better in his Eno. Love these little Enos. A Japanese veteran has also had his share of troubles, though. He's inside the top 10 overall. He was also just outside the top 10 on today's stage. But it was the usual suspects up at the front. Laprace had to settle for third place. His truck, calls it Lady, by the way, doesn't quite seem to have the firepower to match Martin Maciek and Mitchell van den Brinkje. The Czech slips to third place overall and sits almost 2 hours off the lead. Maciek said the first part of the stage was tough. All the broken dunes and the camel grass. He lost a couple of minutes due to a minor automatic gearbox malfunction. He just calls it the truck, by the way. He then followed Van den Brinkje to the finish, although he got held up behind a lot of cars, which we can't tell you what he calls them. P2 overall for the lead of the Dakar. Van den Brinkje Jr. was delighted to claim victory for the first time this year. He passed Maciek in the dunes and then attacked in the about 90% in the stony sections, giving it enough welly to win, but not so much that they punch it.
Very nice stage. We began very strong because we overtook Maciek, and then we created a gap on him, and then we finished, I think, P1. So Moy and Jano, the mechanic and the co-pilot, did a very good job, and we're happy with the result.
Well, just over 40 minutes separated the top 10 today, with Van den Brinkje 1 minute and 18 clear of Maciek. Well, the gaps are far more significant overall, with Maciek holding a lead of 1 hour and 49 minutes. Dakar 2003 for sure was one of the biggest disappointments for this man. Sometimes it's bad luck, says Stefan Panansel. Sometimes it's driving errors, but this time I think I really dominated the event. With a day to go, the Mitsubishi technical team decided to change out the front water radiator because there had been doubts about something. And in fact, we did a jump, which we do 10 times a day, and after a rather heavy landing, we had a water leak. The water just pouring out. We lost all the fluid. We tried to repair it. We lost half an hour. We started again. It was okay. And then it leaked again. And then there came a moment when we stopped for a second time to repair, set off again at full speed, and by then we lost more than the equivalent of our overall lead. And that's when I said, okay, now we've lost the Dakar, we have to attack, and we did, to try and make up for lost time because of the radiator, and we broke the suspension triangle. So that's the definitive end of the day, he said. End of the race. It was quite hard psychologically because it was the first year that I really had a car that was capable of winning. We had to wait 3 or 4 years to get the official Mitsubishi drive, and now I had it. I had victory in my hands, but a technical problem. The Dakar Classic is a challenge to survive the harsh terrain of Saudi Arabia. It's also a fascinating race to victory. Well, leaders of the race before the rest day, the Czech crew of Klimču and Broš, still on the podium of this regularity rally, where the less points you score, the better you are. In their vintage Skoda, they're currently behind leader Carlos Santaolalia. The Spaniard in the Toyota Land Cruiser is making the best of his experience for his third appearance in the Dakar Classic, and after finishing second last year, he's on the path of a possible triumph to Yanbu. Santaolalia has a 76-point advantage over Klimču, Badeschi, and his Italian compatriot. Present on this year's Dakar Future Mission 1000 are the Arctic Leopard electric bikes. Let's find out more about this project based in southern Spain. I've done 16 Dakars on a bike. I'll be 17th. I ride bikes. I'm an environmentalist. I'm a vegan, says Willie Jobard. Well, the Dakar gives me the opportunity to compete with an electric bike. The Arctic Leopard company that builds the electric bikes in China gives me the possibility to ride. So, 2024, I'm here on the electric bike. It's an incredible test to see how the batteries will cope, he says. How the engine will cope. They've developed the bikes that can do real Dakar in 2025. And that's what's interesting with Mission 1000. Well, the asset of an electric bike, he says, is that there's not much to do on it. When you've finished the race, you just look at the chain. There's no emptying of oil. There's nothing to do with the engine. You don't even have to look at it. We're talking about two mechanics. That's all we need. The technology is relatively simple. He says it's an electric motor that's so there's no contact. Do you want me to compare a washing machine? Well, the electric engine is a driller, and the washing machine uses what we call as sliding bushes to press and activate them. The contacts are made mounting the engine shaft. But those bushes get damaged and the washing machine no longer works. That's why you have to buy a new one. The bike has no contact. There's a rotor that doesn't move as it turns, and so it's bushless in English. Well, there's a different way of riding. We have no clutch because it's an electric engine, and you have a magnetic brake that allows you to brake the engine. And when you use the brake, it reverses the polarity, and the engine tends to turn backwards, and that stops the rear wheel and also allows you to charge the battery compared to normal foot brake. It's braking without blocking the wheel. Well, the advantage of this type of electric bike is that you choose the power that you want, and thanks to the computer and the mobile phone, I can choose from 1 kilometer to 40 kilowatts. And now it's completely crazy. You can ride with 22. It's already more power than the combustion bike, a different performance. In terms of range, well, we've made tests and we can get around about 150, 160 kilometers out of the bike on one charge. Well, I'm going to be late for dinner, he says. I'm super happy with the bike and managed to be an important... It's showing everybody that the Arctic Leopard bike is here. An intense battle in the World Rally Raid Championship. Ricky Brabec had the upper hand today, getting precious time on his main rival, Ross Branch. From 1 second, the American lead grew to 42 seconds. In the latest provisional FIM standings, 3 Honda riders are in the top 5. Leading the Rally 2 is Frenchman Romain Dumontier, ahead of his compatriot Jean-Luc Lepin. While still leading the FA Ultimate class, Carlos Sainz increased his lead today. The Spaniard, however, knows it's still quite a battle to win his 4th Dakar. Sainz now has a lead over an hour on Lucas Moraes, while Guillaume de Mébius is 3rd. Tomorrow, a 417-kilometre trip back to where it all started in Alula. Rocky plateau, dramatic scenery, and that's the order of the day. But there's still a few more days to go after Alula. Tonight, an evening in Ha'il. The original bimodal competitors get to work on their bikes. These intrepid adventurers are taking on the world's toughest rally without any outside assistance. They are the true embodiment of the spirit of the Dakar. It's where the heart lies. And it's with a heady heart that, and great sadness, we learned today that the family of Charles Falcon, we learned of the death of the Spanish rider. On stage 2, he suffered a heavy fall. He was airlifted to hospital in Spain, but has succumbed to his injuries.